Consumer representatives in the Bahamas will pause this coming week to place greater emphasis on consumer rights and the need to promote sustainable efforts. In studio to discuss the local efforts is Chairman of the Price Commission, Danny Sumner, and the Chairman of the Consumer Protections Commission, Mr. Philip Benaby. Mr. Sumner, Mr. Benaby, welcome to the morning edition.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Pleasure to be here.
So, Mr. Sumner, I'll start with you. Talk to me a little bit about your role in the Price Commission.
My role is very simple. Me being the chairman of the Price and Control Commission, I normally would be in a position where, with the commission behind me, and we have a 9-commission team, my role is to advise the minister and the ministry in terms of price hoarding, price gouging, and other infraction that may impede the consumer purchasing from local vendors or food store, or et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Benaby, talk to us a little bit about your role in consumer protection.
Thank you, Don. It's a pleasure to be here. The Consumer Protection Commission, I act as chairman with several members, and the Consumer Protection Commission was established in 2006. Primary purpose is to redress complaints of customers in the Bahamas who've been adversely affected with respect to provision of a service, as well as some purchase that they would have experienced in the Bahamas. And so what happens is that they would, if there's an impasse or they're not able to bring resolution to it, they will come to the commission and we will bring the parties together and try to bring quick resolution to the problem.
Now, I know Consumer Week starts this coming Sunday. Mr. Sumner, talk to us a little bit about the goals and some of the major concerns that you want to see addressed in the Price Commission.
Okay, we, in addition to the commission, we have a very good inspection team. The team, what we want to do this week is to bring to the Bahamian public the role of those inspectors. Earlier, I told you about my role. The inspectors have a critical role. Okay, they go out daily in these food stores and they check the pricing of articles that are under bread control. And in addition to that, we look for other infractions such as things on the shelf that is not itemized, no pricing on them, et cetera, et cetera. Even produce, there should be a scale in the produce area. All of those things the inspectors look for. And actually, by doing that, it will give the store owners an indication that price inspection is critical. And we want the Bahamian public, during this week, the inspectors will be making a lot of appearances throughout the island of New Providence. And they will also visit some schools in regards to their role, in regards to what they do and what we are looking for as a commission. And during this time, too, we also make recommendations for changes if need be. And we also will recommend to the cabinet and to our minister, Dion Folks, implementations that would enhance the overall productivity of these inspectors and the role of the commission.
What are some of the complaints now? I know we've done a few stories before about some of the complaints consumers have been, experiencing. Are those complaints still going on?
As a matter of fact, as I speak, there are a number of complaints right now. We all know that the virus situation in the Bahamas is here, all right? When I say here, I'm talking about the preventive measure. Mm-hmm. In talking about that, we have a lot of complaints in regards to Lysol products and hand sanitizers. I've understood that many consumers are complaining the availability of these products, which is critical. And in doing that also, we discovered that price have escalated with hand sanitizers over the last week and a half, and same thing goes for Lysol spray. That shouldn't be. I have contacted a couple of people who I know, and I have verified with Bahamas Customs the duty on hand sanitizer is 10%. The duty on Lysol is 35%. And the market price that they are pushing to the Bahamian public, we will investigate. And if found that they are doing injustice to the Bahamian society, then the minister will deal with that, I'm sure of that. But if these retailers and wholesalers have those items and they're not making them available to the Bahamian public, that is a major problem. The law states that all products must be made available with fair market price, which means then you cannot, because the market demands for hand sanitizer, the market is demanding that the Lysol spray in view of the coronavirus. We don't want the price to jack up because people need them. That is an offense, and that is hoarding. And if we found that is happening, then we will deal with it.
What's the penalty for that?
The penalty is $2,500 for hoarding, and that is per item. So if you got a bunch of hand sanitizers stacked away and waiting for the appropriate time, then you're doing injustice to the Bahamian society, and we're not going to allow that.
Mr. Benaby, your take on the, I guess, price gouging, hoarding.
Yes, well, we have seen a number of complaints in those particular areas as well, and vendors tend to try to do that to up their game. But we're having this week on Monday a ceremony at the mall at Marathon, and when the minister's representatives will be talking about some of these issues as well and bringing focus to some of these areas, and other speakers, we'll have exhibits there so that we can sensitize the Bahamian people to these kinds of things. And on top of that, there's a need to move to the Family Islands as well. I wouldn't say what Family Islands we're going to next, but very shortly we'll be hitting the Family Islands to ensure that there's equity there as well with respect to prices and all of these matters. But I think that like the hurricanes or the aftermath of hurricanes, there tend to be that move by some vendors there, and so it's the Price Commission job to investigate those to make sure that where there are breaches, they're dealt with expeditiously.
As chairman of the Consumer Protection Commission, what message you want to send out to operators and Bahamians, rather, as you guys celebrate Consumer Week this
Well,
week?
the theme this year is Sustainable Consumer. This is a global initiative by Consumer International to bring attention to consumer rights, and because this is very important with respect to the environment, biodiversity, about the environment and eco energy and all those stuff. And so we want to say to the consumer that it is important that, first of all, that we always say an educated consumer is a good person to have some knowledge of what he's purchasing, and so that he can make intelligent, or she can make intelligent decisions. And so for us, we have initiated education programs to ensure that, and this is big for us, to ensure that our consumers are well informed with respect to their purchasing power and their rights. So that's the attention.
No, Mr. Sumner, I know I've been guilty of this. I leave my plastic bags in the vehicle, and then I have to go back and I guess, take my bags in. Talking about the status of the plastic bag ban, how's that going?
Well, that is going good right now. I will mention that. We have noticed that the food stores and even the convenience stores are making it easy for their clients to come in, purchase their groceries, and have the alternative bags available other than the plastic bag. The government's whole idea was to discourage the plastic bag, and that was why the fee was implemented, to discourage the consumers to be using the plastic bag. It wasn't a money-making a scheme by the government. The government is only looking to protect the consumers. Be as it may, the consumers now should be aware that their rights are being looked at. When you go in the food store now, if you don't carry a bag, then they probably wouldn't let you come out with your food items. So I would urge the consumers to take a bag and then purchase, and then you can bring whatever you want out of the food store. So the food store have their policies, the government have their policies. The policies government is have in place right now, plastic will be eliminated. So the food store now are in compliance. So some food store actually sell the bag if you go there. You purchase a bag or two, and then you purchase your stuff and you put them in the bag.
Any final words, gentlemen? Mr. Benaby?
Well, my final words, I think that we are in a very difficult time now globally. I think I've just heard that flights to Europe are being canceled, and so it's going to have a significant impact on our economy. And I think the central bank has given some caution for consumers to be very frugal, very vigilant with respect to their purchases until the storm passes over.
Mr. Sumner?
Yeah, finally, I would like for the stores owners in the region, I'm pleading on behalf of the Bahamian public, hand sanitizers and Lysol spray. Those two items, if you have them, please make sure that the price are market price. We don't want people complaining. I have heard numerous complaints about the pricing. Please, pricing is very important, very critical at this time. With the European flight will be disconnected. After a while, cargo is going to be a problem. So food items, we have to be careful in pricing food items because eventually it may be an issue.
Mr. Sumner, Mr. Benaby, thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Morning Edition, and best of luck on Consumer Week this coming week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.